Per Sham Charania, De'Aaron Fox could be on the move. Should the Chicago Bulls be a team interested in De'Aaron Fox at the trade deadline? We'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of the Chicago Bulls Breeze. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bulls daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Bulls, how Bulls fans talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So, per Sham Charania, he said this just in: the Sacramento Kings are expected to open up trade talks potentially to deal All-Star De'Aaron Fox ahead of the February 6th trade deadline. Sources tell ESPN there will be plenty of suitors, but it's believed that Fox has a target destination in mind ahead of 2026 free agency. So, question on the table and question to you guys out there: should the Chicago Bulls be in on De'Aaron Fox in a trade, and what would that trade look like? Here's the big thing for me. You have to ask yourself a couple of questions when you're looking at the possibility of going out and trading for De'Aaron Fox. The number one question is he going to be there long term? The first thing that I hear when I see there will be plenty of suitors, but it's believed that Fox has a target destination in mind ahead of 2026 free agency, the name of teams that pop up that he may be thinking about going to ahead of 2026 free agency is not the Chicago Bulls. With how things have been structured here over the past few years, I mean, why would you want to come to this team at this point? Now, there is still that, finally get the team on the map in Chicago, win some games, kind of do what he did in the East, in the Western Conference, I should say, over in the East. But I just don't know if the Bulls rank that high in any player's mind in the NBA right now, or if they rank that high at least in De'Aaron Fox's mind right now. And that's the most important thing in all of this. You don't want to trade for a player who doesn't want to be a part of your organization anyway. I think that to me is probably the most concerning part of all of this if you were to make a trade. And then it comes into, okay, if you are going to try it and go out there and make a deal, if you are going to try and trade pieces, who are you trading? Because realistically speaking, this is not a Zach LaVine type of deal. This is not a Zach LaVine for De'Aaron Fox kind of trade where you get some assets back if you're the Chicago Bulls and you finally move off of Zach LaVine's contract. Why? Well, you just got rid of DeMar DeRozan and he's over in Sacramento. Why on earth would they want to run back the same scenario? By the way, kind of the same thing that happened here is happening there right now. So you could also ask that question for the Bulls here, but why on earth would you want to run back the same scenario that you just saw not work in the Eastern Conference, a much weaker Eastern Conference, over here in the West, where it's going to be tougher to win. It's going to be tougher to win games. Clearly, you're trying to go the other direction. I just don't see it happening. And so for me, I think Zach LaVine is not even a name that can be brought up in any kind of trade here for De'Aaron Fox. Now, I can say that I have put together a trade that does work. One that I think could be interesting if you are the Sacramento Kings, because you're talking about trying to go out there and get a player with some upside. There, maybe there's still some hope in. The Bulls do have a couple of those players on this team. While we have lost faith in them completely, doesn't mean that other teams have. So what I put together is something like this: De'Aaron Fox for Trey Lyles, I should say, for Nikola Vucevic, who has one more year left on that deal. So basically getting some expiring money heading into next season. Patrick Williams, who, yes, he just re-signed his contract, but if you're trying to go with young assets, if you're trying to say maybe he just needs a different scenario to be in, I'd be willing to say that the Kings may be in on a guy like Patrick Williams. You also have DeMar DeRozan out there, who Patrick Williams already knows, already is willing to work with, already knows how he gets down on the work ethic. I think that would be a relationship that would be interesting to see continue to flourish if you're the Kings right now. I'm not saying this is a great deal. I'm saying that if the Bulls were to put something together, this is the kind of situation I could see actually working for them. Because again, the Zach LaVine thing just doesn't work for me. And then a 2028 first round top 10 protected pick. But then again, right, you have to ask yourself, if you're doing this, Are you willing to give up draft capital? Are you willing to move off of even more capital in the future to go out and get a proven player who is a star level player in this league? I'm not taking anything away from De'Aaron Fox. If you're the Bulls, I would look at it from a scenario of clearly you bring De'Aaron Fox in. Zach LaVine to me becomes your number 2 option on this team, which is a great situation for you to be in. You get a young player in De'Aaron Fox back who, to me, I think that when you're talking about a 27-year-old player who's putting up 25 points a game, being able to facilitate the basketball as well, adding that to this team gets you kind of out of the Josh Giddey situation where you may have to overpay for a player who's not really what you want to be paying for anyway. In the long term here, you're just trying to get contracts off of the team. I think it helps you from a point guard position. I think it helps you from a scoring position. I think it helps you from a star position, and it makes your team relevant again. But again, the big thing here, why is De'Aaron Fox wanting to stay in Chicago when he's going to have that contract coming up after that 2026 season? He's got one more year. He'll be making $37 million heading into the 2025-2026 season. If you want to get in now, try and get some of the rights on him, try and convince him to stay in Chicago. I could understand that, but is that the situation you really want to be in this modern NBA where guys all the time pull a Jimmy Butler here, where it's kind of a, I'm done playing, I don't want to play for this team, I didn't want to be traded here anyway situation? I don't think that's the kind of situation the Bulls want to go down. While I will say it does help you a little bit in the cap, the trade that I proposed there, it's not helping you so much that you're losing or that you feel great about it. And again, is this a championship level team? We have seen a similar version of this team in Chicago already with DeMar, with Zach. I get it. De'Aaron Fox is much younger and it looks better and it's going to be prettier. But at the end of the day, you've got two guys who need the ball in their hand for them to be the version of themselves that they are. It's kind of the reason why it's not working over in Sacramento. I said that would be an issue for him with the Kings. It's kind of the reason why I don't think it would work here. Also, it doesn't improve you defensively in the slightest. But maybe, listen, if you're talking about a lineup there of De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, Kobe White, I guess, is still in that lineup. Modest Buzelis, because Patrick Williams no longer on the team. And then I guess you're going Jalen Smith there, or you're trying to draft somebody this year to play center in that draft. I guess you could do worse in that scenario if you're the Chicago Bulls. But again, it's got to work for both sides. That's what it comes down to. I don't believe that this is a deal that works for both sides. I barely think it's a deal that works for the Chicago Bulls. So for me, I would be out on a deal like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as well. Would you be in on a De'Aaron Fox trade here to Chicago? While I love what he would bring, and dare I say, I think it would work better than what DeMar and Zach did. I don't know how much better, but I do think it would work better just because I think that he's a star level player. You need stars in this league to compete. And in an Eastern Conference that is basically the Boston Celtics and the rest of everybody else, I don't care what the standings say, I still believe it's the Celtics and the rest of them. That's a good scenario for you to try and build a competitive team in while still winning, as AK said he wanted to do. Now, if you trade for De'Aaron Fox this offseason, you probably win more games. You probably move out of the play-in. You probably actually get into a playoff spot, and you're not holding on to that top 10 pick. Does that hurt you? Depends on how much value you feel you have with Modest Buzelis, who got in more tick yesterday, made more of an impact in that starting lineup. Or coming off of the bench, but playing more minutes, I should say. You've moved Patrick Williams to the bench. You would be moving him off of the team. So I think that just opens up all of that spot. You add Trey Lyles into the rotation. I think it's something that could work in the Eastern Conference because I still think this is a very winnable conference. There's so many, like I said, it's wide open. Even with 40 games left, like if you made meaningful moves that brought stars, then I do think it would make a difference. I think Billy Donovan and De'Aaron Fox would work together well. So you have to look at all of those factors playing into this at the end of the day. And realistically speaking, if you're the Chicago Bulls and you want to make an impact in this NBA while still being competitive, this is probably the route you're going to have to go. Trading for stars while still holding on to pieces that you do have. It's going to be very tough to move that Zach LaVine contract. So we'll see what the Bulls end up doing in all of this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Should the Chicago Bulls be in on De'Aaron Fox? I will be back as always with breaking news updates, and tomorrow with another daily episode. Stay tapped in with us over here on the Chicago Bulls Breeze. It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. See Red Nation, stand up. Peace.